Welcome to another episode of Premium Times Podcast, where we dive deep into the conversations that matter. I am your host, Esther Adaji. I set up an interview between Wills and Oyindamola. Wills is a therapist and a middle-aged man, while Oyindamola is an entrepreneur and a Gen Z. There has been an ongoing debate concerning the talking stage issue discussed on the Ms Boj podcast. Saida Boj declared that a man must transfer a certain amount of money to her within 24 hours of the talking stage, justifying it as compensation for her beauty.
So how did you get to know about Sarah Ojone? I mean, popularly known as Saida Boj. What's your first impression of her?
I stumbled on her post on a blog on Instagram, and I decided to just click through and see what's this girl saying, because she was talking about very dark man. I don't know the context of the argument, but I know that she was talking about very dark man, and she was just venting. And I decided to just click through, and I saw her page and I saw her videos, and I noticed that this girl is quite opinionated and she has a lot of things to say. So that was how I got to know Saida Boj.
Would you say that her comments, being as controversial as they were, made any impact? Like, do you think that's because I've heard from several quarters that she had a lot of followership? So would you say that she was impactful as well from her comments from the first time you got to know her?
Okay, having a lot of followers doesn't really equate to being impactful. And when we talk about impact, it could be a positive one or a negative one. But positively, I don't think she has impacted the youth, the children, young girls growing up. I don't think it's a good impact on them. Because these days, you see a lot of girls on Instagram, young girls, people have their phone now. People in secondary school, children in secondary school, students, they have their phone and they go through Instagram. And when they stumble on things like this, it starts to influence them. I don't think it's a great influence or impact. It has a great impact on them, honestly.
So she right now is most known for her podcast with the Honest Bunch. What would you describe as her very transactional relationship and financial bid for getting to know people? Because that's one of the things that everybody is talking about. She explained, or rather she talked about the fact that she would bill you same day as she gets to meet with you. And would you say honestly that that's the same thing that every woman in Nigeria or Africa would do to a man? Honestly,
people are different. Every day when you meet people, you notice that people are different. From conversations, you see that people have their own perspectives to things, how they view things, how they respond to things. I just feel she's just being her. That's the kind of person she is, or she's just trying to create content to become controversial, to make more money for herself. It could be either, I don't know. But I don't believe that every woman in Nigeria or every woman on the street is like this lady. No. There are people who are not like that. And there are people like her. So it depends on the person you meet. I don't think everybody's like Saida Boj. Sorry. No.
So what would you say, especially as regarding what Saida Boj said, right? Concerning marriage, especially culturally in Africa or in Nigeria. What would you say concerning what she had mentioned in the podcast. Like, if, for instance, just talking stage is that the person has to pay a certain amount of money or has to be committed in a certain financial way, would you say that it should also translate to marriage as well, if that's the case? Because there are different parts in Nigeria where we have people coming to talk about different bride prices and different things that are done when it comes to marriage. Would you say that her opinion also affects marriage, if it is what a large spectrum of ladies in Nigeria would have? What would you say concerning that?
I believe this kind of opinion affects marriages, honestly, because these days, when you look at it, these days, before you can get married, or before you can even talk to a lady, or before you can even enter a relationship, there are things that the society believe you need to have, or to have in place as a young man or as a guy trying to live his life. There are certain things that the society believes that you need to put in place. So I think it does. But at the same time, I feel like people should have standard. It's normal for people should have their standard. Personally, I think it's normal. But at the same time, you look for someone within your range. If you're looking for a girl like Saida Boj, then you have to pay, because it's what she wants. And I can't blame her for that. And if you're looking at living your life with someone that would be with you and stay with you all through your hurdles and everything, then you just go for someone that would understand your means of income, the amount you earn, everything. So it depends. It depends on your choice. It depends on your taste. It depends on your pocket. Honestly,
that's almost like you saying that if you have a girl like Saida Boj, she's going to leave when you don't have money anymore. But also, do you think that the criticism that she got, like from fans and every other person, because I know that she got criticism from fans and she also got accolades from people who think the same way, do you think that they were properly represented on different social media platforms?
Firstly, I would say that it is not new. This kind of conversation is not new. When you meet people, you know that this thing is not new. And the only difference is that she was on a podcast, a known podcast. And it is what it is, actually.
So how do you think that Saida Boj responded to criticisms and the ban from social media platforms?
She was unapologetic, actually. I think she doesn't really care. She stood her ground, and it is what it is. Like, you cannot tell her to change her mind. It's what she believes in. It's her life. It's her choice.
Okay, so what broader societal issues do you think that the comments that Saida Boj made would have on our society?
I think the comments she made would make people feel entitled to people's money. I feel like the comments she made would influence younger girls negatively. And I just believe that if you become a better person, your expectation of people would be different. You understand me? If you become a better person, you attract better people, and you won't have to come to podcast and say, I need someone that would give me 20 million. You understand? So I think it's better for you as a lady to work on yourself and be that person than expect someone to come from somewhere to just give you the whole world because you are just pretty, because you're sitting pretty. So yeah, that's just my take on that, honestly.
Okay, so in conclusion, what's your comparison of the generation from which Saida Boj spoke from and the generation before her, what the comparison will be based on, in terms of what they understood for relationships, whether it is friendships, courtship, marriage, and all of that. What would you think the differentials are for those kinds of relationships? I mean, we had people, for some people who had parents who married quite early, and they didn't have to go through these kinds of perceptions of money first. Some marriages were even born out of the fact that just families respected each other and they thought that they could marry into themselves. So, but what do you think has transpired between those relationships going back and then coming forward to where we are right now? What do you think the differentials are?
When I listen to conversations from our parents, from elderly people, I notice that people back in the days, like they just connect because they cared about each other. They connected because they were in love. It was not about materialistic things. It was just genuine connection. But now, like, it's just crazy to see that things have gone this way, things are like this way. But it is what it is, actually. And then I feel like because we consume more of this kind of content, because we listen to more of this kind of conversation where people talk about this, that started influencing our mindset. And then it's going from bad to worse. It's like declining. And now these days, even a secondary school student will tell you that you must have 1 million naira in your account. And it was not like that. And I believe that the impact of social media too, it's massive, because then there were no access to phones and all of that. But because now you can just pick up your phone and even if you don't want to watch, you stumble on the content, you consume it, then you become it. I feel like that is what is really happening these days, and we need to do better, honestly, in my opinion.
Oh, it was a great conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope you learned one or two things from our conversation. Visit our website for more stories like this.